couple days late, but it's I know it's not Ventsies, but this is Fotona Gas, so we're going to be celebrating on Van Wheat instead of Ventsies. We are absolutely honored today. We have a guest of honor, Hobiniaina Rabarivelo. We all know him and love him as Hubi. He's been with Peace Corps since 2007, and hopefully we're going to be able to learn a lot more about his journey to Peace Corps and the current state of affairs in Madagascar. But I do want to recognize we have Franca here. Franca, I know your video is not on, but it's so wonderful to see you, and thank you for joining. Thank you for everybody for joining today. This event that we're in is being promoted by the RPCVs of Madagascar. This is a National Peace Corps Association recognized group. So we have recognition. We're within the NPCA, the National Peace Corps Association, and we've been a chartering member for a number of years now. So this is being sponsored by that group, this RPCVs of Madagascar. If you're not part of this group, we hope that you will join because we definitely want you to be part of more events that we're going to be planning in the coming months. But enough about this. I'm gonna my role is in RPCVs of Madagascar. I'm the NPCA liaison, so I attend a lot of these NPCA meetings. But we do have some other members of the board. So why don't I pass it over to Justin Rickey first? He's the president, and then he can pass it off to the other members of the board. So Justin, over to you.
Yeah, so my name is Justin Rickey. I'm president of RPCs of Madagascar. I mean, John covered most of it. So just want to welcome all of you to this event. We're really looking forward to hearing what Hubi has to say, his story, and about what's going on in Peace Corps. And again, I'd like to second what Sean said. If you aren't a member, if you would like to become a member, participate in more events, have ideas of how to come together a little bit more, please reach out. And I'll pass it over to Christina.
Hi, everybody. Yes, thanks, Johnston. I am Christina Monterosso. I live in Long Island, New York, and I am just going to be smiling ear to ear this whole time to hear from Hubi, to see all of you RPCVs reconnect. I don't know if I've been there the farthest away, but I was in Madagascar from 2001 to 2002 when we got evacuated. So I was the evacuated group. I was down in Batuki in the south. So I found out what my title is last night when I went on our website. I am the connections lead. So I do the fun things. So we're going to do a little fun trivia later after we hear from Hubi. But I'm so happy to be here. So happy to see everybody. And like Justin said, there's a couple blank photos on our website. So please do join us. It's minimal effort, but maximum impact. It really is fun. Okay, that's all for now from me.
Awesome. And Tina, do you want to? I know Tina was really instrumental in setting up RPCVs of Madagascar. Do you want to say a couple words, Tina?
Thanks. Hello everyone and happy Ventsies. I am one of the four founding members, and there's a couple of others that were on the board before. I think on the call as well, and just really happy to see the current group taking the baton. My life has gotten a little crazy this last year, so I have happy to pass it along and just encourage you to use the Facebook group and other events to stay in touch, engaged. Anybody who's in the DC area, I think the conference is now actually at capacity, but if anybody's interested in coming to DC, they still have the advocacy day. So, whenever I've been on the Hill and I say the word Madagascar, that like instantly gets an interest in whoever I'm talking to. Not even just Peace Corps, it's like specifically Madagascar because they want to know all about the wonderful country. And then I get to tell them about I got to be a part of in Peace Corps. Back over to you. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much. And I dropped a link in the chat to the website. I'm just going to briefly say that the mission of the Return Peace Corps Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Madagascar affiliate group, which we are an official affiliate group, is to promote a better understanding of Madagascar on the part of Americans, provide a platform for information sharing with RPCVs, and those currently working in Madagascar. So Danny, that's a shout out to you. And then also to foster professional and social support for group members. So Hopefully, we're checking some of those boxes today. It's absolutely wonderful seeing so many. But I do want to now pass it over to our guest of honor, Hubi. Hubi, thank you so much. And I see Frank on here as well. Thank you guys so much. I know this is a really different time zone for you guys. And Danny, obviously, you and Tomatov as well. You guys are 9 hours ahead of us. So it's probably like after 6 in the evening. But thank you guys so much for joining. We are absolutely honored that you guys are joining us today to talk about one, to celebrate Nancy's, to celebrate this awesome celebration in Madagascar. And then also, Hubi, we're really hoping to just learn about you and your path, like where you came from in Madagascar, your path to Peace Corps, and then hopefully just generally how things are in the country. And so I'm going to toss it over to Hubi and thank you so much.
All right. Salamat Daulo. Very, very happy to meet you guys. Like very familiar faces, especially those who have served 2007 onward. I'm very thrilled to see you all here. It's like, reconnection after, like, for Sean, I think I saw you back yeah, you're right, during the consolidation in Mantasu, I think. Yeah. And just in very recent, Lon, Whitney, Kantu, yeah, I'm like, there are so many of you, but I can't see all of the people here. But yeah, I'm very happy to see you all, guys. So as this is the Vensis, Arabaina Tatani Asaramantra Daulo. It was it's always great to celebrate the June 26th in Madagascar. This year it was our 65th anniversary. It's the 65th anniversary of our independence. So yeah, quite mature, hopefully. So my journey with Peace Corps Madagascar. So first of all, my first contact with Peace Corps was back, I think, in '93 or something, when I was in Serge, middle school, about the age of maybe 13 or something. I was helping a PCV at that time, doing some Peace Corps murals. Can you hear me? Am I frozen on your screen?
We can hear you, Hubi.
Good,
We can hear you. No,
good,
yeah,
good,
you're
good,
not
good.
frozen. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, so that was my first encounter with Peace Corps, and since then I got curious about learning English. That was back in the early 90s, and then gradually continued my interest to learn about English. At that time, always learning about English, but at the same time, all my education. Fast forward, uh, back in '05 or '06, I was not Peace Corps staff yet at that time. I met again two volunteers in Vatmanji, education volunteers, on my personal trips there, and got acquainted to Peace Corps again. Yeah, and I revived again, like, oh, I remember this organization. I remember the PCV I met like 10 years ago at that time, or something like that. And then one day I went to Mantasu for a picnic with my then girlfriend, now my wife at that time. And we went up to the gate of PCTC, and I saw the Peace Corps sign at the PCTC Mantasu. And my wife at that time knew Peace Corps more than I did. And she talked about it like, hey, those people, they hire Malagasy people teaching Malagasy to their Americans almost every year. And I said, I'm going to work with this organization. And then a few months later, I saw advertisement and things started to move. And then I got hired as a LCF in 2007. I got to meet Franca. Hello again, Franca. At that time, Franca was an LCF at that time. We both, I think she was LCF many years before me at that time. So I started in '07 with the environment group. Is there someone from the environment group of 2007 or early around that? Yeah, Sean was a PCV trainer at that time. We worked together. Yeah, so that was my first time with Peace Corps. immediately I loved the organization. It really matches my lifestyle, my world views and cultural beliefs and everything. I since then I stayed with Peace Corps as an LCF in 2007, and then I think in 2012 I became the yeah, Whitney. I became the programming and training assistant for the CED, Community Economic Development. At that time, we used to have a CED in Madagascar. Lucy was the program manager. I think everyone here knows Lucy. Maybe not everyone. Those who came here after 2015 haven't met Lucy. Lucy was the longest serving training manager for Peace Corps Madagascar, maybe in the late 90s until 2012 or 20, something like that. She has been a training manager for quite a long time. She's retired now. We're still in touch, very good friends. So I moved as PTA in 2012 and then in 2015 as the program manager for agriculture. At that time, we had to combine the environment and the CED, Community Economic Development, due to budget restriction at that time. Budget restriction is not a new thing for Peace Corps. It has been lingering around for quite some time. And one way in the past to readjust to budget reality was to either eliminate one sector or combine sectors. And at that time, one way to do it was to combine the environment and the community economic development to become agriculture. So I started as the agricultural program manager since 2015 up until now. So I am now the agricultural program manager for Peace Corps. And since I've been around, I think we've gone through at least 2 or 3 project reviews. It was focused on mostly food security, and we've never changed that. It's still food security with some aspect of resilience, AK. There are some words I'm not supposed to say here, but you understand what I'm saying. It's more on environment side and helping farmers be able to resilient and cope with weather patterns, shocks, and stresses. So all of that is some of the biggest changes in what we bring into the program. But those are something we've always done in the past. You know, I think the exception of what you knew the environment sector in the past, what we don't do right now is the environmental education that I think Sean's group used to do a lot, and also the SRI, the system of rice intensification. It becomes more and more difficult to adopt due to, a lot of, for various reasons, we've stopped promoting that one. And many organizations also have, which is unfortunate, but yeah, that's the new reality. So that's pretty much my journey with Peace Corps Madagascar. So yeah, if you have any questions or remarks around those, we can. Otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah, Hubi, I'm curious. When I was there, Stanislas was he was the overseeing the I guess the environment slash ag, and it was that transition when Stanislas retired? Did you step into his role then, or how did that work?
Yeah,
Oh,
when Stan retired, I think around 2015 or a few months after Lucy left, then I became the program manager. But I worked with Stan before he left. And Stan, before some financial issues with the USAID, has been or I think still currently, but on pause, the country director of Farmer to Farmer, or Creating New Frontier for Agriculture, CNFA. I think he's still, but the majority of their funding come from the USAID. So yeah, despite his retirement, Stan has been very active, being the country director of that American-based organization. I think the majority of their staff, especially in the US, are RPCVs,
Oh,
CNFA.
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
creating new frontier for agriculture or farmer to farmer. So yeah, it has been a very nice program. They do like similar to Peace Corps. They send volunteers for short period of time, working on very precise project, like the Peace Corps response would do. They hire experts on their domain, all around food security, uh, agriculture, fisheries, and food transformation, all of rural development things. So that's what Stan has been doing, but it's the big majority of his funding is USAID. So I'm sure they will find ways to restart, but for now, I think they are on pause. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much for that update. No, it's one. It sounds like they might be adopting somewhat of that Peace Corps model. I'm sorry to hear about the funding, but it's wonderful to hear that Stan, even in retirement, though, is still using his skills and his passion for agricultural development and spreading these techniques to farmers that are interested. Just great to hear. Please do pass along my best to him. So hopefully in you communicate with him. The other thing I thought was really interesting is your first touching point with Peace Corps was actually as a child was like the murals that are so ubiquitous to Peace Corps, and that was like that first interaction with the Peace Corps volunteer, English, the murals, and just kind of full circle, coming back and get reconnecting with Peace Corps, as you got older and as you were developing your skills in English and elsewhere. I think it's really a cool full circle story of how Peace Corps has kind of been kind of interwoven throughout different aspects of your life from a young boy until now, which is really awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was the very first group of education volunteer actually that I've met that came to our town in Mbatondazaka. Yeah, the very first group of PCVs at that time that opened Peace Corps Madagascar in the early 90s in 93. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember too, because I was there serving in 2007. I certainly remember when you first came on, and you just had such a presence about you. I mean, obviously, all the language instructors are just amazing. There was just something about you. There was just this very, non-threatening, just very. It was so easy just to connect. And I'm just so happy that you're still there and leading. Providing leadership to, the food security and ag volunteers that are coming in, and hopefully you can tell us more about that group and just overall in Peace Corps in general. But it's just so wonderful. I'm just so happy that you've been there since then, and again, just providing leadership and just providing that charisma that you bring to your interactions with other people. So that's just awesome. Before we move on, because I'd really love to hear, I'd really love to hear just about programmatically how things are being in Peace Corps Madagascar specifically. But before we transition to that and hear from that, is there anybody else that had any questions specifically to Hubi and his journey getting to be, in his role currently in the Peace Corps?
I have a question.
Yeah, Whitney.
This is Amanda.
Mm.
I have a question for Hubi. I was wondering if he could tell us a little bit about the role that his mother has played in his journey with Peace Corps.
Oh well, let me try to respond to that. I think that's generally speaking, I think my mother has played a lot of roles in my life, especially in education and inspiring to look um, beyond my life as someone growing up in the deep rural area of Madagascar. Um, you know, I grew up in the deep rural area of Ambatondazaka, not even close to the main road, but a little bit inside. So my mom used to be a primary school teacher. So as a teacher, she puts a lot of values on education. So that I would say is my preparation, especially from my mother, to always put education as a priority in life. And talking to my mother is, like talking to a mentor, talking to a coach when you are young. So she's always opening for possibilities. Like I remember being in the primary school, willing to learn foreign language, willing to learn about Viandafi at that time. That's how we call everything outside Madagascar, Andafi. I asked my mom, like, oh, can you fund my education to study at the French school of Antananarivo? She did not say no, despite the fact we definitely could not afford that. And like, there is no way someone from the rural area can afford sending their kids to the French school of Antananarivo at that time. Even now, no one can afford that. So she did not say no. But she continued the conversation and making you realize slowly, like, you don't have to go to French school to achieve in life, to achieve higher goals in life. So, well, I ended up understanding what she meant by we can't afford it, but still opening for possibility that you can go farther without going to fancy, expensive school. I'm not sure if that responded to your question, Amanda, but that's how my mother helped me inspire.
Thanks, Hubi.
You're welcome.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's such a great question. Anybody else before we maybe hear more about? Oh yeah, Whitney.
Yeah, I have a question. Hi, Hubi. First of all, I feel like I'm maybe the number
Salam.
one. Salama. I feel like I maybe am a founding member of the Hubi fan club. So I'm so excited to be here live with you, Hubi. Um, I actually wanted you to say a little bit more about another woman in your life, your wife, because you mentioned that, she knew about Peace Corps when you saw that sign in Montessu. And so I'm just curious, as you have continued this journey, this professional journey, and community building with the Peace Corps, what is the role of your wife, or does she like stay out of it because this is your work? I'm just really curious about that relationship.
Um, oh, thank you very much, Whitney. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I again, as I said earlier, um, she told me about the agency when we went near the Montessu gate, and she said like, "Hey, you should apply for this organization." While I was still a university student, so I did. So I followed that instinct, like a lot of Malagasy people, if not the majority, wanted to work for an American organization, let alone it is directly affiliated with US organization. It is, or at least until early this year, one of the safest job you can think of. Um, so I think she plays key role on me being able to continue because my job is highly demanding on family presence. It's sometimes a bit difficult, especially when you have to travel for site visits and site preparation, a lot of trips. So being away from family, unless you have your wife being present and supporting your kids, especially on the education part, it's difficult to be away. So that is something that she plays key role, very, very big in my life, personally and professionally. But I recently, I think a year or year and a half ago, went back to school, but school, quote unquote, online school, and it was even more difficult. But she has been supportive for me to finish my degree. So I got my master degree last year on project management, but it is partly and huge part of it because of Peace Corps has been supportive for that, um, and my family as well, and especially my wife. So yeah.
Well, then tell her thank you. Thank you for her service to the Peace Corps as well.
And Whitney, I saw
You're
you put another
welcome.
question in the chat. Whitney, you had asked, is the SRI method no longer as beneficial because of climate change? And Hubi, I don't know if you want to answer that one.
Mm, it is always beneficial, especially when the right conditions are there. Um, like you can still flood the Tanbari and drain out the Tanbari. But that right now is very difficult to predict because of erratic rainfall. In the past, in the distant past, maybe you can expect the rain to be around uh, late October, mid-November, or at the very latest, early December, mid-December. Right now, rain can be as late as mid-January to early February. So if you expect only the SRI as a technique, it's going to be very difficult for you. So if you have good control of water, SRI is very effective, and some organizations still promoting it. But compared to prior to 2009, I'm sure there are still organizations promoting that technique, but I don't know any as of now. But I'm well connected in terms of NGOs promoting food security and agricultural techniques, but I don't know any that still do. Yeah.
Awesome.
For
Hubi, thanks
various
so much.
reasons, and one of it is difficult mastery of water. Yes, Sean.
Yeah, I was going to say, just because I want to be mindful of your time, because I know that the time difference and everything.
Hello?
Danny had a great question, and I'm hoping we can get to that through. What I would like for you, if you can now, like it's been since what 2007 when you first started in the Peace Corps. Can you just give us a sense of how the program has changed and adapted and kind of morphed from 2007 when you first started, and so now we're obviously in 2025. Can you just give us a sense of like the evolution of Peace Corps in all aspects of the program in terms of the thematic areas in which they're focused on and strategizing for development in Madagascar, and hopefully when we get to the end of that section of that agenda, hopefully you can address because Danny does have a question which I think is very relevant, but maybe you can quick just from a bird's eye view give us a sense of where the program has come from 2007 until today. So yeah, thanks. Over to you.
Okay, so thank you, Sean, for introducing that conversation. I think what has not changed, I will start with. So our approach as an agency has not changed. The Peace Corps has not changed much in terms of approach. We are still the Peace Corps you knew since you've been around. We still work with grassroots, and we still work with almost the similar people you've worked with. The programs that has been around since the very beginning is the teaching English as a foreign language, or the education. That's how we call it. Education has been around, and that has never changed, and it's still there, and they are working very well. The health, that has been around since almost the beginning, and that's still there. I think something that is not new, but the name is new, is the agriculture. But yet, what we do in agriculture is what the environment volunteers used to do in Madagascar when you were here. Like gardening, food security, tree planting, all of those have not changed. But I think some aspect has been dropped because we want to focus more our approach. So that, I think, is one of the changes that Peace Corps Madagascar, not just Peace Corps Madagascar, but many Peace Corps posts have been through, trying to focus as much as we could in terms of what we do. Like if you are in education, let's focus as much as possible in that area of teaching English. If you are a health, let's focus as much as possible around health and not branching out too much. The same for agriculture. So that's, I think, the biggest changes. But if you come back here and do agriculture work because you were environment, you can restart right away without going through PST. Same for health, same for education, same for all of those free sectors. So in terms of what we promote, we haven't changed much. But I think the biggest change is our geographical footprint. Those are the biggest changes. So I started in 2007. At that time, due to, we still had we had enough budget to cover almost the entire regions of Madagascar, except the red zones. So we've been able to work from Diego down to Fort Dauphin, the Androuille area, Tuliar, all of those back in 2007, 2008. After the 2009 coup in Madagascar, we were not able to go to many places to security reasons. So, for example, we've never been able to go back to Christina's site, Betuki, since I've been with Peace Corps. 2009, we've never been able to reopen sites around Betuki, Petruka, Yazwabu, like Murundava, all of those areas due to security reasons. And when COVID came, we reopened the program, restarted the program in 2022. I think we received our first group of trainees September or August 22. Because of low number of volunteers reopening the program, we tried to remain as close to the office as possible. Not in Ivandri, of course, but we didn't go as far as Fort Dauphin. We didn't go as far as
Oh no, I think we might have lost Hubi.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we lost you for a little bit, Hubi. Last I heard, if you're hearing me right now, I think your video is starting to freeze, and then as is your audio. So it might be better if you turn off your video. Maybe that will save on bandwidth. Hubi, if you're hearing this, you might want to try turning off the video as you present. Last thing I heard was after the pandemic that you started reopening and you're keeping things closer to the capital. But I don't know, did we lose Hubi entirely? No.
Okay, yeah. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I will minimize videos to have a better connection. So we didn't have many PCVs coming back in September 2022. I think about, I don't know, maybe 20 for the 2 or 3 sectors at that time. So it was small. So we thought like, okay, it is just because of COVID, just right out of COVID, maybe not everyone is willing to travel and go far away from America. Little did we know that it became a trend. So since the reopening in 2022, not many people came back to service. So this trend of low number of intake has been around since September 2022, and up until now, not many people are applying to service. So right now, currently, we have, I think, about 25, 26 volunteers total in Madagascar, 3 sectors combined, which would be normally a group of one group of sector coming to Madagascar, a group of trainee of environment or education or health. But that is the total number of volunteers present right now, which is very low. So because of many reasons, budget issues, back in November 2024, we went through reduction in force, we call REEF. And that had nothing to do with the current political status. That was back in November. So we lost good position, good number of positions. He's at yeah, thank you, Amanda. 28. We lost a lot of positions, and I think among the people that we lost in November, that you all know, at least majority of you know, is Nirina as our regional coordinator. We lost many staff, and most of it was the PTA, programming and training assistants, and that was back in November. And then, ongoing uh, how do I call it? Restructuration. We were about to go through another series of reduction in force, REEF, to staff a couple of months ago, but it's been on pause right now for legal battle happening out there. I don't want to talk more about that, but right now, that is still a possibility. And, yeah, there might be another series of REEF happening to Peace Corps, but hopefully not. So, yeah, but it happened at HQ, but hopefully it will not happen to us at posts. So, yeah, that's pretty much in the program. Peace Corps Madagascar right now, staff are resilient despite all of this. Volunteers are resilient. Volunteers work well despite all of this. Sometimes morale is low, but we focus on what we can accomplish. We focus on what we can change, what we can do, and try to forget.
Hoby.
Yeah. Yes, Lon.
Now, this is Lon. Say on the Peace Corps website where you can apply to be a volunteer, Madagascar isn't even listed under the African countries. There's only 7 African countries listed, and the majority of those are English speaking. So what Peace Corps isn't even offering opportunities to go to Madagascar. So I wouldn't say it's a lack of. I'd say it's Peace Corps headquarters doing something fishy.
I would say, in the past, we used to bring 2 sectors per year, maybe one somewhere in March for your group, the health, and then later on around September, the agriculture or the education. Because of that, you will always see Madagascar advertisement almost all year round. But right now, we bring all 3 sectors at once because it's so low number, and we don't want to spread the sector. So because of that, Washington would advertise our positions once a year. So right now, they are reviewing our request for next year. So our request for next year is now under review. Hopefully, in a few weeks, it is approved and it will go live for like LinkedIn or social medias. So yes, right now it's under review.
Yeah, well,
so what we have right now is volunteers already in the list that will come in September. So we don't advertise positions anymore. We are waiting for like going through the medical check, legal check, etc. But the recruitment is locked. It's already locked, and no one can apply for it anymore. So that's why you don't see advertisement for Peace Corps Madagascar. But soon, once it is approved, it will go live, hopefully. But thank you for that question, Lon. Yeah.
Well, yeah, great question, Lon. I didn't know that it was not on the website, which is, I guess disconcerting, but hopefully Hoby helped to alleviate some of those concerns. Hoby, a question from Danny, and it relates to what you were just talking about, if I can find it, or maybe Danny, you just want to unmute and ask it.
Yeah, thanks, Hoby, for your talk. I was just curious what, if any, news, because I have not heard with Doge and USAID cuts, what impact, if any, or expected impacts with Peace Corps? Because 26 volunteers is actually, I find, a quite low number. Just kind of what do you think is the perspective of Peace Corps going forward?
I think Are you just asking about Peace Corps Madagascar, right?
Yeah, Peace Corps Madagascar, probably Peace Corps in general, but you mentioned oftentimes it depends on like budget issues. I would imagine that's still an issue that you guys are facing now more than ever. Um, is there like a light
Mhm.
at the end of the tunnel, or is it just rough waters all the time at the moment?
Um, I'm optimistic about the future, I would say, um, because people are applying to come to Madagascar. I still see people coming. We are expecting 35 trainees coming this September, and right now we are slightly above that number. Hopefully, we will not go too low below that number of group of trainees coming in September. So the three sectors combined will have about 35 trainees coming. So the fact that Washington is still taking our request to bring in more volunteers, I think that's still positive to me. So yeah, but the impact of the USAID to Peace Corps Madagascar, the biggest impact for us is lack of partners we are working with, because we work closely with those USAID implementing partners like the CRS, the CARE, the ADRA, all of those USAID funded groups. So those are something that is now gone. And another impact is that we used to receive the funding that you call SPA, Small Project Assistance, which is a USAID fund that will support PCV grants around food security, nutrition, maternal and child health, malaria prevention. Uh, those are not gone. So, and WASH project, water and sanitation and hygiene, those are now gone. So those are something that we hope we can fulfill through PCPP. Peace Corps Partnership Project, which is a mechanism through which friends and family and other organization can donate to opened and approved project. So that's what we hope we get support. But I'm gonna talk more about that later on. What kind of support we need? Yeah.
Cool. And Hubi, that's a great transition. I do want to leave time because I do want to be mindful of your time. We had a couple questions I did want you to answer, but then we do want to leave time because we're hoping to pivot to how this group, RPCVs Madagascar, can better align with the goals of obviously Peace Corps, how we can better support the program, especially the volunteers during their service, after their service, how we can be better advocates for Peace Corps Madagascar in general. But before we get to that, and we do want to save time for that, there are a couple questions. Austin had one. Can you quickly address where ag volunteers are currently serving and where they might serve in the upcoming cohort? So please.
Okay, so I can give a synopsis of regions. Obviously, I cannot share detailed site information. As you all know, it's sensitive information. So currently, we have volunteers starting from Sonerani Vungu, going through Feneri West area, down to Tamatave area. And then, around Muramanga, Vatmandi areas, Ambatondrazaka, we have or will have volunteers around those, and hopefully around Vatmandi as well. We don't have many volunteers around Tana right now due to security risks. We want to minimize volunteers' time in Tana. So if they are too close to Tana, then Tana become their banking town. We want to minimize that risk of exposing volunteers to Tana insecurity. So there aren't many volunteers around Tana right now. It's been a long time since I haven't been to Ambumiadana and Ramasana, Sean. I don't know how Ambumiadana right now and Ramasana. So we don't have volunteers around those areas. And then you move up, and then Antsira Bay, there are many volunteers around Antsira Bay. There will be more around Antsira Bay, Ambustra, Fianaratsu, down to Yushi even. We have volunteers down to Yushi and Balavao now. Ranmafana, down to Mananzari area down to Manakara. Hopefully, we can reopen Farafangana soon. So those are the areas we are serving right now, and we are hoping to open Tuliar through maybe Blue Venture, hopefully, as a first year site. But those are ongoing discussions among senior staff. So those are our footprint. Oh, Majanga. We have volunteers in Majanga.
Awesome.
Yes.
No, that's so. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Hubi. And then we have another question from Jennifer. And actually, I was hoping you can. She was very specific about the security issue in Western Madagascar. She served in Mahabu near Morondava, and so she wasn't aware that there was security concerns in that area. But it sounds like there's a lot of hotspots that, at least for Peace Corps, are deeming to be security issues. So can you maybe talk about Jennifer's concern where she served in Western Madagascar, in Mahabu near Morondava, but then also you mentioned Antananarivo. Obviously, that was my banking town because I was relatively close to Tana. Can you just talk about some of the overall like security concerns and like how much of a threat those are for not only for Peace Corps volunteers? Because I guess selfish, I'm interested because I'm going to be there in December. I'm just curious, like what I should be looking forward to or not looking forward to. So thanks.
Mm-hmm. The issue is for those areas like the Mahabu areas, the Dahalu activities and the attacks happening on the roads, and the road is poorly maintained, which is very conducive to bandits stopping taxi brews. Our volunteers right now they can still go to Murundava for vacation, but they must fly. They cannot take taxi brews to go to Murundava for vacation. They have to fly back and forth. Yeah, so the Halo activity is the issues around those areas, like the deep Murundava areas, Andrui, like Betuki, Betruka, and Kazwabu, Ampani. The Halo activity is happening in those areas does not make us comfortable. Not just Peace Corps, but the U.S. mission in general. Do not advise any personnel going through those roads by car. No.
And yeah, no, thank you for that. Are they targeting specifically taxi Bruces, or could this be any like residential vehicle if you're just trying to take your family to the coast, or like are they just being indiscriminate and just targeting people where they can opportunistically, I don't know, steal money or possession or something else?
Yeah, without any distinction.
Mm,
I heard that if you work for those telecom companies, they don't
hmm.
attack you because they need the connection. That's what I heard. The Halu are
That's
not connected.
Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, yeah, they're probably just like had some weapons that they were able to get somehow, but now they're probably like much more sophisticated. They're able to communicate better and probably coordinate and target and do things like that. What about, like you mentioned, Tana, like what about some of the bigger cities? You said Tuliar is okay, but the area around Tuliar might not be. So can you give us a sense of like from north to south, east to west, where are these hotspots of insecurity for, threat to possession, livelihood,
I think the biggest issue is the west part of Madagascar, like down from I think Mount Vazu down to Murundava areas, and then going on this littoral west coast below Maintranu, um, near up to Yurumbe, I would say. But then you move around the Andrui regions, big part of the Andrui regions, around Betruka. Betruka is not Andrui, I think, but around those areas, Betuki, Kazwa, Ampani, those areas, Tanimura, those are the red zones for us. Uh, Besides that, I think some crimes happen here and there, but I think Dani can share us more. But Tamatava has been recently something that is on our radar right now for being unsafe for everyone, not just foreigners. But I think Danny can tell us more about that. But Tamatave, I think, is something that we are a little bit worried about. And Tana, the level of insecurity of Tana has gone up a little bit compared to what you knew before. But still, it's still manageable. But we want to minimize the risk to volunteers, so limit their time in Tana as much as possible. But but curiously, I feel safer in Tana compared to Tamatave, though. Yeah, I would say. I don't know if Tani agrees with that, but I feel safer in Tana, much safer.
I'll jump in. That tends to be a whole plateau coastal thing. People do feel unsafe coming to Tamatave, but I think it depends on which neighborhoods you're in. I was just going to say, from my experience, I was a volunteer back in 2006 and 7. I've been here since. I'm coming up pretty close to 20 years now in Madagascar. I've felt over the last, probably quite a while now, 5 years, that the insecurity in Madagascar is on the rise. And I think it's directly correlated to kind of increased poverty levels, or population in the lines of poverty. And sadly, I would say at the moment, I think the future looks, at least from my perspective, seems pretty bleak. There doesn't seem to be a lot of economic activity. The RER is depreciating all the time with the dollar and the euro. Madagascar doesn't produce enough food, so it has to import food, but it's too expensive. Population is going to be booming soon. I mean, we always knew before that over 50% of the population was like less than 18. Those populations are coming into adulthood, into what sort of professional opportunity, economic, I don't want to be like a complete pessimist, but I would just say things don't look to be getting better. And if anything, they're going to kind of compound to become worse. Security, I don't know if it's also just being not young and naive anymore, being older, of like very conscious of where you are, what neighborhood, what time. And that's tough because all we know as the Peace Corps, you're right in with the communities. You're not going to go to the safe places because they're expensive. So you're going to go to just local places. So I do think their risk in bigger towns are always going to be quite high. And I've never understood, Hubi, why Melville Hotel has always been promoted for Peace Corps in Tamatave. The hotel itself is fine, but it's far from downtown where people will spend their day and then poos or tuk it back, and that's the dangerous area. So I would say in terms of hotels to promote, I would say even if it's more spendy, be closer to where they spend most of their time when they're in town. Yeah, I guess that's kind of my overall synopsis of the situation.
That's on.
Hey,
I'm sorry, did somebody else have something they wanted to? Yeah, Danny, thanks so much for that feedback. It's interesting because obviously you've been in Tamatave for quite some time. Interesting getting your perspective. And Hubi, thank you so much for answering that as well. It's good. I definitely want to touch base with both of you guys before heading out there in December. But being mindful of time, I know hopefully you guys can stick around for over the top of the hour. We do have some really fun activities, but as we pivot to, because to Hubi, we certainly want to be mindful. I know that there's probably lots of parties you're waiting to get to for the Vences celebration in Franca as well. And so maybe we can spend a little bit of time talking about, how we can, RPCVs in Madagascar are trying to, obviously promote, Madagascar in a myriad of different ways to people here in the States. But we also want to see how we can support not only the program, but also the volunteers that are currently serving and after they leave service, how we can better support them in their transition back to, wherever they're going to transition to post Peace Corps. So what do you think are the ways that we can better align the goals of RPCVs in Madagascar and then the goals of, what everything you're working on through your capacity in Peace Corps? So I'll toss it over to you, Hubi. Thank you.
great. Thank you very much, Sean, for introducing that part. So I've been thinking about this and I've asked some others, people's contribution. But I think right now, there are some Peace Corps countries that do not get much attention. I just heard what Lon said, but generally speaking, the American public's knowledge about the countries. Like, for example, a lot of people would like to go to Latin America. Latin America is in top ranking hiring posts. Any countries in Latin America. Morocco, for example. Morocco is in top Peace Corps hiring in Africa. But I think what you can do, and what I know you already do, is keep spreading the word about Madagascar. Why people should serve in Madagascar. You all have um, thousands of reasons to promote the country. So I think what you can do the most to support the program in general is to keep spreading, to keep convincing your constituents, your friends, your families, you know. If you know some people that, like, hey, I think you can benefit from serving at Peace Corps, and even better if you go to Peace Corps Madagascar. So right now, Peace Corps Washington has divided how to incentivize people to serve in certain regions of the world. One of the incentive to give to anyone coming to Madagascar is they will get 1 month annual leave at mid-service. So after serving for 12 months, they will be given 1 month home leave. So they get to go back home, spend some time with their family, re-energize, then come back. All of that is paid. So that is one incentive to come to Peace Corps Madagascar, besides everything you already know about this beautiful island, how nice people are. So that's one way. Spread the words, come to Madagascar. Yeah. So I think like if one RPCV can convince at least one person every semester to apply, that would be wonderful. So at the very minimum, one person a year you can convince. I think we have about, Amanda can correct me, about 3,000 RPCVs since the beginning. So imagine one person convince one American to serve. That would be a huge boost for us. So that's one way. As I said earlier, we cut the SPA fund is cut. The SPA fund. Oh, okay. Thank you, Amanda. Oops, my number was not quite correct at all. The SPA fund, the Small Project Assistance, is an USAID funding, and obviously that is gone. So those funding used to support food security, WASH, project, education, malaria prevention, maternal and child health programs. So all of those fundings are cut. Those are something that our volunteers used to use to conduct trainings, to support community on their grants. And we also, as staff members, we used to have access and money to conduct training of trainers, to train up staff. So those are all gone right now. So what is replacing them, or has never replaced them, but has always been there since the beginning, is the PCPP, Peace Corps Partnership Program. So I think one way to support current volunteers is that, because sometimes volunteers struggle to find people to fund their projects. So if there is a way, funding mechanism in which the RPCV friends can donate into those PCPP grants, that would be really wonderful. So I don't know how other countries of RPCV do, but I think there must be a way to keep donating to those ongoing projects. And like, if, let's say, for example, one grant cost $2,000 or $5,000, but we ended up receiving more than that, the leftover money will go to our country fund, the Peace Corps Madagascar country fund. And when we have a grant that is, like oh, this grant is small enough, we should use our country fund and do not ask this PCV to go out and wait for 1 month or two to get funded. So we can use our country fund very quickly if we have enough funding in our country fund. And right now, we depend only on PCPP, I think, for country fund. So if you donate and there is an excess of donation, that excedent will go to our country fund. So those are one way. You know,
Hoopy, real quick,
we
a quick question on that so there's the PCPP, and I'm just curious about the mechanism in which that is. So I mean, do you go to Peace Corps website and is there like PCPPs, and then is it per country? And then do you say like, oh, and then within that there's these certain projects? Like, how do you find like, oh, there's a volunteer who's trying to get funding for whatever that may be? Like, what is that mechanism? Is it through like the Peace Corps headquarters website, or is it like, how do we find out about this project?
Yes, so it is through the Peace Corps website. It's our quote unquote GoFundMe style, but it has to go through the HQ, and it is specifically tied to a specific program. I think it is tied to a specific program. Like, let's say, for example, so and so is building a well in, let's say, Andramasna, and they need this much money. They write their spills why they need this funding, and then you donate, and that is through a Peace Corps website. But that volunteer, in order to get more support, they need to spread the words on their social media. And I think there comes it very handy if we are able to share the link. Hopefully, we can do that legally and give the link to the RPCV Madagascar, and you can spread the words among your group. I'm going to discuss with with my supervisor and with the grant coordinator how can we promote it to the RPCV Madagascar group so that you don't need to search; it will go to you periodically. Yeah. Or at least each time we have an open grant. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
No, Hubi, that would be immensely helpful. I think just being able to have that like a more streamlined approach to, okay, these are the projects that because there's definitely a strong interest in the community, the RPCVs specifically to Madagascar, like how we can better help serve and support the current actively PCV. So that would be great, just having that connection and being able to get the word out, if it's through GoFundMe or whatever. But that would be a great next step for us as a group to be able to take. So thank you.
Oh, great. Another way, we don't have any open positions yet, but soon we will, at some point we will, on peaceful response or the virtual program. It's wonderful to have RPCV Madagascar apply for those. We don't have Peace Corps response positions yet, but soon when we have, I hope more people will apply from your group. Yeah, so that's another way to support us. And when you come back, our current volunteers always appreciate getting in touch with those who have served in the past. Another way, I think, is come visit. Come visit us. Come visit us when you can. And one last thing, soon in August, we are going to have a COS conference of agriculture PCVs. If you are in Madagascar, wink, wink, Danny, come talk to our PCVs if your time permits in Tana. They always appreciate learning from your experience right after Peace Corps and then the life after Peace Corps. What are some advantages of being member of the RPCV Madagascar, National Peace Corps Associations, applying for grad school, starting your own business, starting your own nonprofit? Those are some tips that a lot of volunteers would really appreciate. So, yeah, In the past, we used to have, virtual connection. Like, hey, let's connect with RPCV Madagascar during your COS conference. Maybe we will add that into our agenda so that, hopefully some of you are able to speak to our soon to COS PCVs and help them prepare to the new reality of life in the US. Because, most PCVs after Peace Corps service, either they go back to grad school or, do some government jobs. Is that the reality now back in the US? Is it easy to transition into that? How to prepare them? So talking to them through COS conference on how to write resume, how to readjust to the US, that would be very much appreciated. And one last thing, I don't know if you have official representatives in Madagascar of RPCV group. But if you do have that, I don't know what would be the role, but that would be interesting to to interact with staff and to have official connection with staff. By having that representative in Madagascar would be wonderful, and then we can discuss about collaboration. Like if you have some philanthropic activities in Madagascar, like some of you have, ongoing non-profit organization working in Madagascar. Hello, Cliff. So it would be great if if you can support those ongoing non-profit organizations happening in Madagascar. Support those through our PCVs and but having a representative in Madagascar, official representative, might be interesting to have. Yeah.
Yeah, Hubi, no, thank you so much. These are really great items for us to be. This is we've talked about how we can, when COS is occurring, how we can connect at that time to be like, hey, we are here to, provide support. We're part of the community of RPCVs. Like, please do like tap into us when you're leaving the country as you transition to whatever comes next. So I think if we could have a touching point at that time of COS, I think that would be incredibly valuable. Like I said, I'll be there in December. I have no idea if there's anything planned for December, but I'd be happy to, talk to whoever might be in Tana or wherever at that time. And it sounds like Cliff, you're involved in some capacity through different organizations. So if there's a way that RPCVs of Madagascar can work through you to be able to support some of the efforts that you're doing, Clifford. So anyway, these are all really great suggestions. So Hubi, thank you for that, and definitely want to maintain this communication with you and whoever else that you think would be appropriate in Madagascar to facilitate these ongoing collaborations. But I do want to recognize that one, Hubi, you've given us a lot of your time. And I know that we have other fun activities that we're hoping to do before the end of this meeting. So first off, I just want to thank Hubi. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. We really appreciate it. I know you probably have many parties to get to after this to celebrate the Madagascar independence. So thank you so much for taking the time. And I want to transition. I want to pass it over to Christina because I know that she has some fun activities planned for us. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Hubi, are you getting off now?
Welcome. No, no, no.
Oh, you're gonna
I'm
stick
home,
around.
so and I'm not scheduled to go to any party.
Oh. Well, this was great. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm really gaining a lot from everybody's comments and questions and the challenges to keep the PCVs going in Madagascar and just keep Peace Corps alive and well there. So thank you for that major update. So I just planned some trivia questions. I've been out of Madagascar for over 20 years. So doing a little bit of research, it helps kind of sharpen my memory skills of, oh, I forgot everything actually. So I took my own little quiz last night and I barely passed. So I have some fun trivia questions. It's just some fun, lighthearted stuff, guys. Last time we did this, we got together was last year. We played some music. We did a little scavenger hunt. So we're just gonna have some lighthearted fun, and maybe share some third goal stories, if any of us have any. So don't be shy. Everybody can unmute themselves. And you know what? I actually think I'm going to make it a little bit fun because thank you, Hobie. Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm going to make it a little bit fun. I know that obviously Madagascar is the biggest exporter of vanilla, and I'm going to send a bottle of Madagascar vanilla to whoever wins this trivia question. So does that incentivize you to really participate? I hope so. So let's get going. Okay. These questions they're just cultural environment and we'll see. Okay. So just chime in. I don't know how, I'm not very technically advanced. So you just got to call out and tell me who you are. So what is the name? We're ready, right? Thumbs up. Yes, good. What's the name of the tectonic plate on which Madagascar sits? Anybody know? I'm starting hard. I thought maybe everybody knows that. Okay, no.
The Indian plate? Indian
No.
plate?
No,
No.
but good guess.
The lemur plate,
No, but I love that guess even better. It
the
is
baobab plate.
no, we'll just say the Somali plate. Guandolna, somebody's saying. I don't know. I found Somali plate as the answer. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Well, Hobie, we'll give you 1 point. Okay. Next one. Ready? What's the name of the mountain range that runs along Madagascar's eastern coast? Do, 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 do,
On
do.
Drinkatra?
Say it again.
On Drinkatra?
Ankaratra.
On Karatra?
Sean, you're good. Okay, so I'm not the only one that doesn't know any of this. I felt kind of like a loser when I was figuring out some questions. I didn't know anything. Nice. Okay. What's the largest river in Madagascar by length?
Betsibuka.
Betsibuka?
Good. What I found on my internet search was Mangoki. Have we heard of it? Hubi, can you confirm? I lived in the desert, so we
What was
didn't
the
have any.
question again? My connection was bad.
The largest river in Madagascar by length. By Whitney, thanks.
I would so Manguki. I would so, yeah.
Yes, Manguki. Okay. All right, so we're 0 for 3. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, what percentage of Madagascar's wildlife is endemic? So it's found nowhere else on Earth.
75%.
How much?
75?
A little bit higher than that, believe it or not.
I said 90.
95.
Yeah, 90. Who said 90? I can only see like 5 of you.
I did. This is Rebecca.
Okay.
Christina.
Hi, Rebecca. Oh my gosh, I was her replacement, you guys. Fun. Yay.
I was
Okay,
the
you're right.
First,
Okay, a few more. Who is the endangered carnivore that's Madagascar's top predator? What is?
Fusa.
Yes.
What's up?
Yes. Who said Fusa first?
I did. I think I did.
Clifford. Cool. All right. 1 point for Clifford, 1 point for Rebecca. It's fun to be corny. We're having fun, guys, here, right? Okay.
This is awesome.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, Hubi told us how many years we celebrated. So, because I'm Malagasy, we're celebrating independence. So, quick math. What year did Madagascar gain independence? Math skills. guys.
1967?
1960.
1960. Was that you, Justin?
That was me, Ted.
Oh, it's it. Okay, hi. Okay. Which queen, I only have a few more. If you're loving this, sorry. If you're hating this, just a few more. Which queen famously resisted the French colonization? She was anti-colonial in the 19th century. What's her name?
Ranaval.
Carnival.
Yes, say it again. Ranavalena, right? Yes. Okay, 2 more. What's we all know this, except I didn't. I know that it exists, but I forgot the word. Let's see if we remember the term. What's the name of the tradition, the exhuming tradition in Madagascar?
Almadina.
Yeah,
Yes, Sean. Okay. Last one. What's the name of the Malagasy instrument that's sort of like a tube zither?
Mali.
Valiha.
Yes. Who said that one? Sean
That's
and
from Sean's region.
Yeah.
Sean, where did you serve?
I've got one on my house right over there, actually. But I served on the Haut Plateau.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, fine. I'll do one more. Which martial art combines combat and dance elements? What's the name of that one that's used obviously for self-defense and performance and all the things? What capoeira is to Brazil, this is to Madagascar. You said it, Clifford?
We have
No, I was thinking
Tiamanga.
capoeira. No,
We have
you are.
Tiamanga and Murengi.
Morangi is what I have listed. What are the differences? Are they similar?
Kind of. Diamanga is more from Tana, uh, but Murengi is more from the coast. Kind
Okay.
of the same. Yeah.
Okay. So how was our questions, Hubi? Were they accurate? I'm getting them off the internet, so you're the most accurate we have here. Hubi? Oh, he can't. It's fine. Okay. So we have 4 people that I'm gonna send you guys a little bottle of Madagascar vanilla. I have 4 people, Rebecca, Clifford, Sean, and Ted, that all answered 1. So I'm gonna do my very advanced lottery and close my eyes and pick 1, and they're gonna win. And I'm gonna do 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 do. Rebecca.
I
Arnold,
love it.
want a
Thanks,
little
Christina.
gift.
I
Want a
know.
little gift. So I'll send it to you and I'll connect with you, or just put your address here if you want, or it's private, or I'll reach out to you. But
You're right.
that's just a little lighthearted fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one more thing I thought would be cool. We did this last time and it was really fun. Is we shared stories. I mean, I think it would be might be fun to share. We know storytelling is the best history there is, right? Um, um, the third goal, obviously, to bring our experience back home. But does anybody here have either a third goal story when they came back to the United States and just pursued something and basically brought their education back home in a teaching format or an experiencing format, or even something over there? I mean, I'm sure we have dozens, hundreds. But if there's any that anybody wants to share here, the floor is open. Um, the floor is open. Somebody please do.
I have 2 things. This is Amanda.
Thank you for telling us who you
So
are. Great.
I'm currently in Madagascar. I serve as the DPT. And when I was on home leave last November, I put together a slideshow and I went to the local library in Connecticut, near where my family lives. And I did a presentation and the room was packed. There were probably 45 people there. And, you know, most of them knew nothing about Madagascar. So it was an opportunity to share the diversity and the amazing uniqueness of Madagascar, but also it was a call to action for people to promote Peace Corps and ask their kids and their grandkids to apply. And I took this same presentation to New York City and I visited Fordham College and spoke to several classrooms there to promote Madagascar and to promote Peace Corps. And it was just really satisfying to do some direct action to try and get people, raise awareness about Peace Corps and get young people or any people to just go out and apply.
That's awesome. Was that presentation custom to your experience, or is there one? Would you be willing to share any of the generic slides? Because that would be awesome if we could duplicate things like that.
Yeah, it was actually very much based on my experience. And I'm sure since all of you served in Madagascar, I served in Guatemala, that you all have your photos that would be much more personal to your experience. And that's where I think this story, the power of the story comes from, is from your personal experience.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I would love to do something similar. I did a similar presentation to a group of ESL students at a local community college a long time ago. And it was similar. It was really, really a gratifying experience. They had so many questions. They were so curious. But my personal challenge is digitizing all the stuff that I have that I could hardly find, my pictures, because it was so long ago. So pictures are, I mean, it's not going to stop anything. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. It was really great.
Yeah, and it's just really fun to re-engage with your service, however long ago it was, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, my son just graduated high school and I actually kind of encouraged him to do the Peace Corps. I was like, that would be so amazing. He's not going to, but it's not that he won't do it next year. Maybe he'll do it in 5 years. Who knows? I always
I
promote it.
recruited my nephew. He's currently serving in Peru.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have a story or two whether US based or Madagascar based or any else where based?
Yeah, Christina, I got some stories. Since coming back to the States, I think we're all spreading the gospel of just how amazing, Malagasy culture is and just how beautiful the island of Madagascar is. So I'm sure we're all doing that just through like friends and family, but I have done like, like structured, organized presentations to church groups, to elementary schools, to middle schools, just kind of spreading, a lot of people I mean, and I don't blame them, it's just ignorance. People barely know about the city they come from, let alone, some, a country on the other side of the planet. So yeah, just kind of just letting people know about Madagascar and the amazing people there and like sharing the language and just telling stories about living and whatever it is, just an amazing biodiversity. And I mean, there's so much one can to talk about in say like 1 hour or less. So, but yeah, definitely trying to do that since coming back to the States. And there have been a couple of instances. I'm living just outside of the Washington, D.C. area now, but I've actually been just in different scenarios where I've actually been in chance encounter. There's like Malagasy, which does not happen often. They're speaking in Malagasy, and man, I tell you what, if you want to get a good reaction from somebody, speak to Malagasy, who's somebody who absolutely is not expecting it, and I like literally their eyes like jump out of their head because they're just like, I can't believe this Vazaz is like speaking to me in Malagasy in some such random situation. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing in terms of like the third goal of promoting Madagascar back in the States. So thanks.
That's great. Huba just asked about an email address associated with RPCV Madagascar group. We have a Facebook group, Hubi, and you could email any of us, Justin, Sean, myself. I don't know if you have those, but Sean, would you mind putting our emails on the chat? Thanks. And then share the Facebook group if you're on Facebook. We just can invite you.
Yeah, I'm going to put all those in the chat right.
And if somebody has another story, please just unmute yourself and start speaking, because I just want to share how easy it is to be part of this group and how much of an impact you could have. So just invite people that you know to, your fellow stage members. I have a couple fellow PCVs on here. You're not missing out, Hubi, that you're not on Facebook. Don't worry. Well, you just email us. Good.
Hi there. This is Tina.
Hi, Tina.
So I wanted to share something actually about my trip to India last year. I went to my daughter's hometown, and my first thought was, this is like my Peace Corps site. Hi. Oh, there's Avika.
Hi.
And it was this little town, kind of trucking town on the way to Mumbai, and the market was like set aside off of. No, I know. The market was like off to the side. It was really hot. I went to one part of the town. There was no way to get to the other part of town, so I like hitched a ride on a motorcycle, which I may or may not have done during Peace Corps. You can't retroactively admin set me, can you? And so all of that like knowledge from my Peace Corps service of like getting around and knowing people really came into play when I was there picking up my daughter and getting to know. So I just wanted to share that. I guess hit me. Other than not being surrounded by rice fields, it just felt so much like my Peace Corps town, and I used a lot of my skills during my trip. I ended up being in India for like a month and a half last year, 2 different times, and so just really wonderful opportunity to feel like I was back in Peace Corps, get to know people, get to know her town, and learn about her story even before meeting her. So, and she's here now, so.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Tina, for sharing that. That's so precious. Awesome. Yeah, I've gained a lot of things that I don't realize that I gained. I came home in my 20s, early 20s, and now I'm in my mid 40s. The things I do now and the way I think now totally have been shaped by my experience. And so we know how much of how it shapes our character, our experiences, our worldview. Yeah. Does anybody else have a story? Stories are fun to hear.
Hi, everybody. I can jump in a little bit.
Okay,
I'm
Fred.
Clifford. I served in Madagascar in 2011, 2014. I've been back for a little bit over 10 years, and then I started a nonprofit called NGO Initiative. And we actually partner a lot with people who have worked in the field, including Peace Corps volunteers, to support students from rural communities gain access in education. And I actually work with Franca, who was also my LCF when I did my service. And we're so lucky and grateful that we also get to collaborate sometimes with Peace Corps Madagascar to present and talk to some of the volunteers just to talk about our efforts and see how we can work together. Um, Last year, we were able to support over 2,000 students from rural communities gain access to all levels of school, from primary, middle, secondary to university. And we're actually working a lot with a lot of other RPCVs in Madagascar who have started nonprofits like myself. Like we work with Danny as well. We create these formal partnerships to just kind of build this resilience of those of us who started nonprofit organizations to continue supporting Madagascar, especially today in this time. And so I'm just really excited to be within this group. My organization, it's a way for RPCs to kind of stay connected with Madagascar in a really meaningful way, but also we're very pro Peace Corps. Like I engage locally with our NorCal, with our Peace Corps associations across the country, and also the National Peace Corps Association as well. And I think during this time of uncertainty, working with and collaborating with people who started organizations like myself and other Peace Corps volunteers in Madagascar is really critical so that we champion Madagascar nationwide and even on the global stage. So, yeah.
That sounds awesome. There's a lot of chatter on the chat. I think, Franca, thank you for introducing yourself and putting your link. Did you put your link, the website in there?
I can do that right now.
Yeah, if you can, I think all of us would be happy to visit that, share that. That's really inspirational what you're doing and Giro Initiative. I'm going to write
Thanks,
that
everybody.
down. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is inspiring. How's that for an action item? That's just like action item manifested. Okay. Anybody else? I mean, we could be here all day. So,
Hey, I'll share one.
yeah.
Hey, this is Austin Richards. I served in the Mononara region, 2015 to 2017. After Peace Corps and then grad school, I got a job at EPA and I was living in Washington, D.C. And there was a moment a few years back where Madagascar's national soccer team had made it pretty far in like the Africa Cup of Nations. And there was a little bar in downtown DC that was showing the games that became a hub. I think RPCVs from other countries that have more people living in the US are a little bit more used to this. In Madagascar, there's just relatively few Malagasy folks living in the US. So this was just a really neat experience where there was sort of a gathering of a number of Malagasy folks from around DC area that were gathering to watch the Madagascar national soccer team compete in the Africa Cup. And we just took over this little bar, and I got to speak Malagasy in the U.S. for the first time in so long, and met some folks that were so excited to meet, like somebody, that could speak Malagasy.
A Vaza that speaks
Yeah,
Malagasy.
of course, they're living in Vaza land, but it was, just to have somebody around. So I'd heard stories like that of happening, people hearing their host country language being spoken on the subway or something, but in Madagascar, I think it's a little bit more rare. So that was just a really cool experience to kind of get to connect with folks and cheer on the Malagasy team. And I recently just saw some old friends from my grad program, and one of them mentioned that I went to grad school right after returning from Peace Corps, and I was catching up with some old friends, and she remarked how it was cool that they felt like in classes and stuff that they learned about Madagascar because I would speak up about it. I kind of sometimes felt like the kid in the magic school bus that's always like, well, at my old school, because of course you come back from this very transformative experience. It's always in the front of your mind, and you can't help but just relate everything to experiences that you're still processing or just what you just went through. So I think we all practice the third goal, whether or not we even intend or mean to, just because I think, you come home and you're so, it's just such a monumental experience that you're just, things come up all the time, and then you're talking about, oh yeah, we had this rice liquor like this, or this, or whatever the case may be. So anyway, those are my stories. Thanks, all.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I know that like sometimes when I get to meet different people and I've known them for a long time, out of nowhere, I'll just say, because it somehow becomes relevant. Yeah, and I was a I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Madagascar, and that just changes the whole, they're like, wait, what? And then it just opens up a whole new fun thing. I also use it when I play Two Truths and a Lie for random icebreakers with random groups of people. And everybody's like, no way. Okay, this was great. This was great. I mean, I kind of want to say who else, but I kind of want to respect everybody's time. Sean, what do you think? Are we going to just encourage people to join our RPCV group on Facebook, and all these, I mean, links that we have on here are really, we have a lot of stuff ahead of us to do. Well, thank you for giving me the platform to be corny and have fun and smile and share stories. Sean, you can close us out.
Cool. Awesome. I'm actually going to toss it over to Justin. I just want to thank everybody. Christina, thank you. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. And I feel embarrassed that I didn't know more of those answers, but yeah, thanks so much
Good.
for
I'm
doing
not the
that.
only
And
one. Yeah.
I want to thank everybody and once again, Hubi, thank you so much for taking your time out today. Franco, it was amazing seeing you. Great to hear the work that you're doing with the On Zero initiative. Literally,
Yeah.
the first memories that I have of Madagascar are with Franca in On Zero. So it's kind of a full circle moment right now, seeing Franca and Clifford learning about their work you're doing. But I'm going to toss it out to Justin to close us out, the president of RPCVs of Madagascar. But thank you guys so much, and we look forward to next time. So Justin, over to you.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Amanda, Hubi, Brenka, especially, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your stories, Hubi. Thank you for sharing all the different ways that we can help promote Peace Corps Madagascar. And I want to put out the challenge to everyone that's still here, to do that. Take up Hubi's challenge. Promote Peace Corps either, with your friends, your family, everyone you know. Give speeches at your university. Everyone, just like make sure that they know about Peace Corps and Peace Corps Madagascar, as well as supporting the all the different projects that the Peace Corps volunteers have going on in the country. And last but not least, I want to invite you to, join RPCVs in Madagascar if you haven't already. Join the Facebook group, as well as we do have a couple of positions open on the board that help run this organization. So if you're interested, to reach out to one of us and let us know. We will definitely get you in. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks for
everybody.
organizing, guys. Much appreciated. Please do more of these. This is a lot of fun.
Let's do. Okay. Let's do Veluma Dol.
Bye,
Velume.
Hubi.
Veluma.